Alright lads, so today continuing on with the new character showcases. Yesterday we tried out Nini, I recommend you lads check that out. For today though, we're here to have a look at Noel, the other main character from the Bleach series, and with that, Noel herself is a speed, no affiliation killer plus unit. When we scroll down and have a look at the character's EX skill, she does offer 25% more damage to drained enemies with the additional 14% recharge soul trait. When it comes to EX skills, this one is awfully specific, so I don't really see it getting much play in the future when it comes to being used on other characters, unless we do hypothetically get a speed character that can also inflate to drain. Although, to be fair, we did receive 2 of those in all the swimsuit banners that we did get this year. More likely than not, when it comes to EX skills, you're just going to be using Berserker and maybe the spiritual pressure boost, so this EX skill isn't really all that great. But I guess it does help her out in terms of dealing more damage. Now, with that right now is going to be the big thing regarding this character, and where some of the criticism is going to be placed on a character like this, because what you are going to see here is that she could have been a lot better. Now, she's an overall good character, but for Burn the Witch, like we spoke about before her release, you do expect a bit more, especially when we have a look at a character like Nini that has all these different damage multipliers, has Frenzy +3 everywhere. Noel kind of has the exact opposite. So for starters, in terms of damage output here, the character has Frenzy +2, only Frenzy +3 in Guild Quest. With Guild Quest skills, that also does mean more killer effect and then also more range damage, etc. So you have a lot of just wasted skills on skills like this, in my opinion, which could have otherwise been, you know, really high Berserker, really high damage to drain, more full stamina damage. You just really don't get that with this particular character. Also, one thing, you know, going alongside the Guild Quest skills, which in and of itself isn't really that much of an issue, the character itself is lacking a strong attack damage increase. And that right now probably is her biggest problem when it comes to just gameplay. Because right now, based on the skills, she only has a 35% strong attack damage increase, but that is coming from the fact that we do have the Katakura Alpha. So ultimately, for a Burn the Witch character, just straight from the get-go, I would have expected more, and I would have liked to have seen more from this character. A simple fix would have been more Berserker, and also an EX attack. It's one thing she is lacking, and even though from what I played of her, she is a fun character, and she does have some some good gameplay, she is held back by not being as good as she potentially could have been. And really, it just comes down to the damage aspect, and again, the lack of an EX attack. 2 of those things would have made her very, very good in my opinion. But with that said, in terms of how you want to build the character, like always, you can use a Katakura Alpha, Kamari, and also Fortification Pill, or providing 30% additional sports pressure. But keep in mind, in the 10th anniversary exchange shop, we do have access to the Noel card, so you can just probably exchange that and actually get more damage output, because again, this character is lacking strong attack damage. So the accessories do go a long way for providing the stuff that she is lacking in her base kit. And then with that, once more, because she is lacking strong attack damage, you can just give her links like this to make her as good as she potentially can be. So first up, let's take Noel into Links or Trials just to get a good feel of the character's strong attacks, and in this case, she actually has some good strong attacks. So SA1 is going to be a vacuum-like attack. This is going to be really good for Guild Quest content when we do get to that section. SA2 is going to be an area round her, which is also really good, just really good range in general. And then SA3 is going to be a full screen that somewhat resembles the character's artwork, which I think is kind of cool. I believe all 3 Burn the Witch characters have something like that on their 3rd strong attack. So very similar gameplay to the renewed Byakuya, which is good gameplay. That paired with the Drain, I think is pretty good, especially with the visuals. Like, we can take damage here, use the SA2, and over time, we'll get back up to full stamina. So I do not dislike that she doesn't have a, you know, status woman that can't stop the enemies. So for example, when compared to Nini, right, Nini has paralysis, but she doesn't have poise break. So in the case for Noel, she doesn't have paralysis, she has drain, doesn't stop the enemies, it does heal her though, but then she does also have poise break, which is actually really good for limit breaker and again Guild Quest content. It means that if you do ever take a hit, you can just get back up to full stamina. So I do like the gameplay that she has here, and I do like the status combination too. But let's go and use our Soul Bomb. So once more, it's a cute Soul Bomb. Like I said when I initially reacted to the character, it kind of gives me Byakuya vibes, and that's kind of the thing that Noel's already, like, always had going for her. I've seen, hopefully I'm not making this up. I feel like I've seen people say that, you know, Noel is just a female Byakuya, and it's really funny that, in a way, her Sobm is very similar to the Swimsuit Byakuya, where she just spends time building a sandcastle of someone that she cares about, in this case, her, you know, pet dragon, pet Osushi. Regardless, though, for our first attempt, a 1 minute and 12 second clear. Let's try that again and try and get a tad bit faster. But yeah, in terms of gameplay, I can definitely see people preferring Noel over Nini. That also could just be a bias towards Noel. It definitely seems like the community has a favorite, that being Noel. And then K-Lab have their favorite, that being Nini, because thus far, the last two Burn the Witch banners, Nini has definitely gotten the better treatment. The last time we had, I guess, a really good Noel that stood out compared to Nini was the Christmas versions, when she was like the best go-to nuker in Guild Quest content. But I really like the heals. It's something that we didn't get to see much of, I guess, during the anniversary. Like, none of the anniversary characters had Drain, where they're able to stay at full stamina super easy. And that's something you definitely do appreciate over time when it comes to content like Limit Breaker, Guild Quest, where a lot of times you are building your character at full stamina, and if you do take a hit, you know, you lose all your HP, you lose all that bonus damage. So having Drain built into the kit sometimes is nice. So I can definitely see people preferring Noel over Nini, just strictly based on the Drain effect, you know? Now somehow, there's hidden enemies apparently. I did not know that. So with content like this though, you're going to clear pretty much fine. I don't think we're going to get a clear time as fast as Nini. Nini, for example, was able to clear in under 30 seconds because she does have a really good strong attack here. I don't think Noel is going to get as fast clear times as Nini. But you're by no means going to clear content slow or struggle to clear. You're just going to be clearing super safe. And again, that's mainly thanks to the Drain status on it. So let's do one more attempt when it comes to co-op links or trials. And then we'll move into epic raids. So SA2, unfortunately, in some ways, it's a good and bad thing. The SA2 is an area around her, not in front of her. So you do have to position yourself a tad bit. I think both are good. I think I prefer Nini's version where the AoE is in front of her. But for Guild Quest content, this kit is probably the best. Again, Byakuya was able to clear content super fine, super fast, super easy too. Because you can just stand in the middle and all your strong attacks are just grouping everyone up. Let's use the someone there though. Again, we're just gonna go for a 1 minute clear time. Or a sub 1 minute. I don't think we can get a sub 30. At least not in this particular room. So go hit SA2. Look at that. Just absolutely nuked through the boss tomb. And I don't think we even had killer against them. Maybe we did. But her killer is no affiliation, which is pretty good. Plenty of no affiliation enemies out there. Can't complain about that. And there's someone once more. And then I guess we'll finish up with the 3. And then 1. And then 2. So if I was trying to clear this quest super fast, I should have put on a Zeta pill just to hit the hidden enemies, but they only seem to appear in the final room. So yeah, 54-second clear time, it's alright. Maybe if we had a beam attack, we could clear it a bit faster, but regardless, 54 seconds isn't too bad. But that then takes us into the ultimate S-Not Epic raid, where right now, Noel is a 3 times damage dealing bonus, while also offering 100 extra medals. So similar to Nini days, similar to Macy days on technique, power, and speed, these are some of the better days to farm if you do want to buy out the entire shop. When it comes to the build, we're pretty much going with the same thing. This time though, we do have 3 familiars giving us 60% berserker and also more damage at full stamina. And the goal right now is to see if we can beat it in a fast play time by ourselves. Let's use our SA1. One thing we're going to see similar to Nini is that our Spillage Pressure boost is tied behind inflicting a status ailment, and we can't inflict the status ailment. Oh, never mind. We actually can inflict the status ailment when the boss is attacking, because it doesn't actually stop the enemy, which is actually really good. Unfortunately though, unlike Nini, again, this is where you kind of notice the damage being a bit nerfed to what it shouldn't have been. But let's quickly use our summon. SA2. Pretty good damage there. Noel, I mean, Nini pretty much one-shot. But because we don't have the Frenzy free everywhere, it does lower our damage output by quite a bit. But I guess on the bright side, Noel can, I guess, inflict status ailments a lot easier when compared to Nini, because Nini has paralysis. So she can only inflict it when the enemy isn't attacking. Meanwhile, I guess with Drain, you can just inflict it non-stop. That seems to be the case. Let's flush it out the way. SA2. And then SA1. So, Yeah, you can definitely notice in a situation like this, the massive damage difference between someone like Noel and also, Nini, right? Nini was able to clear pretty fast, at least easy sub 30 seconds. And while it's not the fairest comparison, comparing this character to someone like 10th Anniversary Rukia, granted Rukia has killer right now, so it's completely a different situation, but Rukia was able to clear in 15 seconds without any damage buffs. Now, she has Frenzy plus 3, 100% Berserker, and an SP boost, so it's completely different, but it's something worth mentioning, right? You definitely do notice the damage not being as high for a character like this, at least when you're doing a single-player epic raid run. So with that in mind, I'm not even going to do another attempt, because for the most part, it looks like we're going to get around a minute clear time. So now let's do a few co-op lobbies. In this case, plenty of Noels running around, because we almost have a full lobby of Noels here. And I guess this is where you're going to pretty much clear fast. At least you would like to hope so. Especially if every Noel starts to use their Soul Bomb at good times. So I probably could have used mine now. I guess we're going to wait. Use my SA3 there. Probably didn't need to, but let me use my Soul Bomb now. I guess Rukia is going to get hers to go off. That's really good damage. Rukia, if anything, might be carrying us here, truth be told. So going into phase 3, let me use my Soul Bomb if I can. No SP boost apparently, but regardless, you're going to clear pretty fast when you have a bunch in the wells. I like to do solo attempt runs in epic raids just to test the character's damage output, and in a way just to see how fast they can deal 70 million damage, whether they are a bonus or not. And while Noel does have the problems in terms of not having a high damage output, I guess in epic raids when there's a bunch of Noels in the lobby, you don't really notice it, right? So let's do one final run when it comes to epic raids. In this case, once more, a couple Noels here. 4 Noels in this case, which is pretty good. Most of a random Nurge. I assume Nurge is the, one of the bonuses here. Let me use my summon. Hopefully I can get it off. There we go. That way I get the Scorch Pressure boost. Oh, let's get in the middle. Fortunately for us, someone has barriers. I guess it's Noel. Sorry, Rangiku. That kept me protected at full stamina. Let me get out of the way, try and dodge the attacks while also dealing damage. Doing a pretty good job. Last Noel, someone goes off. Again, that does apply weakened defense, which lets our entire team do more damage. So yeah, no matter what, if you are playing speed only day, especially if you have a Rukia in the lobby though, you are getting at least sub 30 clear time. After that, now let's try Noel into Guild Quest. And I will admit, I probably can't make the best team. And a reason why I was excited for Noel and wanted Noel is because she is a potential new lead for the ranged no affiliation Guild Quest, which for the most part, the last year since the 9th anniversary, Toshiro has been holding down. And compared to the newest characters that we have been getting over the last year, Toshiro in a way is kind of lacking. He doesn't have Frenzy plus 3, he doesn't even have Killer plus. So going into this banner, knowing that we were going to get a ranged no affiliation killer, I was only expecting Noel to be significantly better. And realistically, she's not entirely that. If you actually have a duped out Toshiro, let's say you summoned on his anniversary banner last year, you pulled an anniversary part 2, maybe you have the character maxed out, you might unironically be better using Toshiro as a main. So I'm not sure it's a good or a bad thing that Toshiro in a way hasn't been fully power crept. But in a way, like I've been saying in the video, that also could just be due to the fact that Noel isn't, strong enough. In terms of how to build the character, we are going with a full Scorch Pressure build, which definitely isn't the best play here when we are 1 out of 5. We should be going with a focus build. But I'll keep it simple, go full SP for now, right? We're pretty much using the same exact links and accessories. When it comes to the team, similar to Nini, given the fact that they are no affiliation characters, they don't have access to really good team support. So you do actually want to have an additional damage dealing character, especially right now, unfortunately, when the HP has been significantly increased, making it, more difficult, but also in a way making the characters not look as good. Because if we weren't getting all these HP buffs, Noel probably would be fine by herself, but right now she does need that additional DPS character, which is where Toshiro does come in. Now, you could build Toshiro to be immune to freeze, and I would likely do that if I did have a better third character. So, for example, right, if we go to top 10 most used characters, you are going to see people use Misaki. Likewise, you also could use SWIMSUIT NOEL. What they do offer is a team boost, providing more stats to your team, but they also do have an additional 20% damage buff to any enemy that is inflicted by a status omen. Personally, I do not own them, and I don't even own Apache. So despite me getting Noel a good addition to my team is still far from perfect. So with that, I'm throwing on Mid-Hime for the team boost and also barrier effects. but also to share 100% resistance to freeze, therefore allowing Toshiro to be immune to freeze plus, because that is also something you have to consider when going into this particular quest. So for now, in all honesty, we're just going to try and go in and clear, not even trying to go for like the faster clear time, because the way this guild quest is structured. So what I would like to do with Noel is to try and use 2 strong attacks. So SA1 into the 2, and then with Toshiro combined using strong attacks, it should be enough to clear through one particular quest. So the SA1, I said, is really good for inflicting status ailments. Then we get to use our 2. Right now, we're not... To be fair, that was actually pretty good. Didn't expect Toshiro to use his strong attack so soon. But we do want to use 2 strong attacks. And we kind of want to hope that Toshiro uses 1 too. So going into Ginzuru. There we go, SA2, really good damage since we are a speed enemy. And in a way, we're kind of looking at like similar clear time, at least based on my initial first attempts with Nini. It's like worst case scenario, you're clearing with 35 seconds remaining. So this is why I kind of don't like the way they designed Noel. Because she's in a way getting very clear scores, very similar clear times to Nini. But at the same time, you're also performing significantly worse outside of Guild Quest, you know? So it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't mind this or dislike Guild Quest skills, but when you have this character in the banner that has frenzy plus 3 everywhere, it just doesn't make sense to me. So right now, we're looking at a bit tight on time here. Fortunately, we got the status procs. But even with this team, we're just getting 9 seconds remaining, which to be fair isn't even too bad. 6 seconds remaining. We were at least able to beat it, given the enemies have been significantly buffed here. With no normal attack damage characters, it's actually pretty good. But I feel like if the final boss attribute does change in the future, Noel is definitely going to need that additional normal attack damage support against someone like Apache, for example. If we had access to Neliel or Masaki, the swimsuit character, we also would clear the first 5 waves faster, because then we're also dealing more damage. But let's try that again. I don't want to reset too much right now. I just kind of want to go in and go out. Hopefully, we at least can try and get like a 40 seconds remaining. So there we go. 2 strong attacks is what we want to do there. SA1 groups everyone up, then SA3. So really good waves thus far. Let's SA1, then Soul Bomb. Again, Toshiro. Ooh, really good hit. Maybe I didn't need to use the SA2 there. We had some really good syncage with Toshiro using attacks. And I'm liking the fact that, in a way, we can use the side character. So this wave took a bit too long. We could have got like a 45 second remaining here, I think. At least 40, right? There we go. 40 seconds remaining. I'm liking the fact that we do get to use 2 strong attacks. You know, sometimes it does suck to see a previous lead get replaced. Granted, it took Toshiro a whole year to get replaced. But it's nice, I guess, in a way you can just use him as a side. So the investment you put into him hasn't gone to, you know, full waste. Now, like I said, with Noel, she does not have a status summon that can stop the enemy in place. That's in a way where Toshiro comes in. Right now, he is going crazy, inflicting these freeze attacks. But the poise break does allow us to pretty much never get hit. And also, if we do take a hit, we just get to easily stay at full stamina once we inflict another status summon. So you can see we at no point have gotten hit once. And it seems like we are reliably beating this quest with a team like this, which for the most part does consist of just 2 1-5 characters. I have no dupes into Noel, no dupes into Toshiro, and we don't even have the third ideal character. So yeah, I'm not, you know, disliking Noel right now. As expected in Guild Quest, she's performing as good as she potentially can be, given the amount of HP the enemies do have. As a no affiliation character, again, she is lacking the support, but that's where Toshiro comes in to make up for that. I would have just liked for Noel to be a bit more impressive outside of Guild Quest. But in a way, most importantly, I would have liked to have seen an EX attack. I think an EX attack that maybe debuffs or, you know, boosts your allies' attacks would have been great. We didn't see that at all during the entire anniversary. We did see the Kenpachi EX attack return, but nothing for a character like Gremmy, you know? No one got the debuff and also boost effects. Let's use our SA1, then use our 2. Guess we'll save the SA3 for next time. There we go. But again, the strong attack kit does work very well because you just use your SA1 to inflict status summons and then use your SA2. Pretty much every wave is pretty much like that, right? SA1 into 2, SA1 into 3. SA1 into Soul Bomb, etc. We did clear a tad bit faster there, so whether our, our clear times are looking good, but whether we clear faster, like 45 seconds remaining, really comes down to if Toshiro decides to use an attack at the same time. You know, even though we do have Maid Orihime in the team, remember, she doesn't guarantee protection to Toshiro. You know, there's sometimes where maybe she sits far back and she doesn't get inflicted, because to get that 100% extra freeze immunity, she needs to be inflicted by it. So sometimes it will come a situation where Toshiro gets inflicted by freeze, and Maid Ime is just sitting too far back. But the very least, it's looking consistent right now. We are pretty much clearing with 14 seconds remaining, so we are getting a tad bit faster. So I'm going to do one more attempt. We haven't even reset at all in this entire video. So I guess for those that just want to clear the quest, you know, especially right now with, again, I keep mentioning the HP just being further increased every single week. You know, forget going for fast clear times. Right now, everyone should be just prioritizing clearing the quest. And Noel is definitely helping with that. So last attempt, let's see if we actually can get another good one. So SA2. There we go. Unfortunately, not enough damage. So we have to use the SA1 early, but maybe we can make up for that in the next wave. Unfortunately, this is where not having a normal attack damage character does suck a little bit, because you get that tiny bit of HP left over, and unfortunately, you know, you have to waste a strong attack to do that extra bit of damage. This right now is looking like our slowest run. Toshiro used the SA2 there, really good for us, but it looks like we aren't having a problem with the side enemies. Sometimes that can be an issue where the enemies just get all over the place, but looks like we're doing enough damage, especially with Toshiro, to take down the mobs. But look at the difference there. Last one was 41 seconds remaining. This one was 30 seconds remaining. So, yeah, it really just comes down to Toshiro locking in, doing attacks at the same time. But the freeze he has been nice. So shout out to Toshiro, holding his own right now. I'm liking it, and it kind of makes me upset now. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of, you know, looking forward to Toshiro getting fully replaced because I was tired of using it. And unfortunately, in my 25 summons on the you know, part 2 anniversary banner, Toshiro was there. I didn't get a single copy. So that kind of sucks. Because, you know, Noel isn't like a clear carry powerhouse unit. You still need Toshiro. So it sucks that I don't have a Toshiro dude. You know, having even 2-5 Toshiro would have been great for their clear time. But at least even there, when we clear 10 seconds slower, we still had time to spare. But I guess going forward, post 10th anniversary, any Toshiro copy that I can get, I will gladly take, because he will make the team better. Because right now, the best team for Noel does seem to be paired with Toshiro. Likewise with Nini, you want to pair her with Esnot, and ultimately that is because these characters don't have access to really good supports, so having that additional DPS is important for them. And last but not least, let's take Noel once more into Limit Breaker quest, which technically right now is our third time taking it into this quest, but I do want to have a section highlighting her performance right now, just for the sake of the showcase video. So when it comes to this month's Limit Breaker quest, unironically, surprisingly maybe, I don't know, is that Noel is the most important character, because right now Nini, while she is the slot 1 unit, she is the Limit Breaker character of the month. Normally that's the more important slot. It really is. But we also have access to Jushiro, who was featured in the 10th anniversary. So if you don't have Nini, Jushiro is a really good character to have. If you don't have Noel, though, that's when it becomes a bit much, you know, a bit more of a struggle. You're likely using more so a character like 7th anniversary Uryu, who at this point is 3 years old. You're probably using Owetsu, which maybe requires a bit more duplicates because you can't rely on stat augments. And then you're probably also using Toshiro, who isn't a speed character. So, unironically, the more important character, at least when it comes to having an easier time, is definitely Noel. And that also just could be due to the fact that she is lacking options. But it's also like this part here, the Freeze Plus, and the way the room is positioned. You're likely going to trap them in the corner. And if you aren't immune to Freeze Plus, it becomes a bit more of a struggle. So Noel, right now, even though we do not have a stat augment to stop the enemies in place, we are at least doing some good damage thanks to the damage multipliers. But the Poise Break and the strong attacks that she does have pretty much ensures that at no point we're ever going to take damage with Noel. And you know what? If we do, we get back up to full stamina. So again, I'm really liking the drain that Noel does have. You know, I've done a lot of Limit Breaker videos, and if I take a hit, I have to restart the entire quest, because, again, the characters are all based on being at full stamina the way we are building them. So it is nice to sometimes have that just protection, in a way. You know, if you take a hit, the run isn't over. You can keep going. So for me, when I like to, you know, sweat and try and go for, like, the fastest playtime possible, it is a bit annoying in Limit Breaker, especially where you take one hit, you know, 4 minutes into the quest, and the entire run is over and you have to reset. With Noel, we take a hit, it's fine. We're back up to full stamina. So I am liking the drain. I'm liking the overall. I really am. I just would have loved for her to just be on the same power level as Nini. I just don't like when two characters release in the same banner and there's such a big difference between the two, even if that damage only matters in Guild Quest content. So again, you know, when we recap the video, I would have just loved to have seen Noelle have an EX attack, also have a, you know, just good Berserker value, and also just have Frenzy free everywhere. I don't like that there's such a big difference between the two characters. If Nini didn't have Frenzy plus free everywhere, I maybe wouldn't have cared that much, but I also didn't like it during the end of year banner, where, you know, Quincy Ichigo, or Quincy Killer Ichigo, full-ring Bankai, had Frenzy free everywhere, he had crazy damage output, you know, in a way, Senjumaru also had really good things about her, but then she only had Frenzy free everywhere. She had a worst killer effect. Lucky for Noelle, she does have a good killer effect, so it's not as bad. But I like there to be some type of, you know, I like it to not just have be a one character banner in a way. I like it when there's two really good characters that you're going for, you know, and not just have it be one character. But right now, again, Noelle's clearing her stages fast. I mean, we've seen times where we had to use a character like her. Maybe not the best example. I'm right now about to compare it to Bambietta, but Bambietta sucked in Limit Breaker, despite her wanting to be used and also having all the damage multipliers. Noelle's actually been pretty solid despite the lack of Berserker, but I guess in a way they make up for it because she does have more damage to drained enemies. So that's kind of the idea on why she doesn't have Berserker. It's not like I'm defending that. I would definitely prefer it the other way, but normally when a character doesn't have Berserker built in, they make up for it with more damage to status afflicted enemies. But again, like I said, with Nini, she has that, and also Frenzy free, and also good Berserker value. So unfortunately I messed up there, but the run's going quite fine. I'm more so stressed on the Ichigo and Nini stages, to be honest. They're the ones where, like, if I take a hit, the run's over. So we're going to save our Soul Bomb for Nini stage, because that's where we get to use the weakened defense. We also could do that with Noelle. Maybe if I had Noelle 2-5, maybe more dupes into Ichigo, we could clear a tad bit faster and get more Spotlight into stage 26, where we get to use Noelle at the best of abilities. And unfortunately in this case we might not even make it to stage 26, because that's an example where I used my Soul Bomb and unfortunately the SP boost wore right off, so I can't really take advantage right now of this pretty good clear time where we can just do a lot of damage with the weakened defense. We're still going to clear though, because again Nini's actually pretty good, really good damage overall. But that slowed down our run by like 10 seconds. We could have had like 20 seconds. Maybe we could have even cleared Noelle stage, because I think she clears pretty consistently. I guess it's worth mentioning the Drain does also do damage over time, so I guess that's maybe helping out Noelle. And unfortunately we ended up dying anyway, but we weren't going to clear. So maybe that is something I never considered. That is helping out Noelle. The Drain damage over time does add a couple 100,000 damage to her kit. But you can see when it comes to the poised enemy stage, we're clearing pretty much similar clear times. 22 seconds and then 23. And truth be told, if I didn't mess up Nini's Soul Bomb and cleared 10 seconds faster, maybe we would have actually cleared Noelle's stage 26, and getting then into stage 27. So overall, like I already said, I think Noelle's a good character. I feel like she could have been better though, especially for a Burn the Witch unit. In a way, they kind of treated this character like a normal end-of-month character, which for a collaboration unit, you kind of don't want. And there's simple fixes too. I would have just loved to have seen Berserker built into this character, and 80% Berserker would have been amazing to see. And then throw in an EX attack, and this character would have been on the same level as Nini everywhere at the very least. In Guild Quest content, due to her affiliation, not being a Storypot or Quincy, she does need that additional support. So that's where Toshiro does come in. But even then, maybe she wouldn't need that additional support if the Guild Quest itself wasn't significantly buffed in a way to make the characters look worse. I mean, at the same time, I guess through Caleb's point of view, the buff and HP is to kind of make the characters look better, because they might be the only ones in the career, but in a way, it just makes them look worse. In terms of gameplay, though, I mean, she's a fun character. I, in a way, maybe prefer her gameplay over Nini's, especially with the Drain built into her kit. So if you are a Noelle fan, you can definitely have a lot of fun with this character. But at the same time, if I was a Nini fan and Noelle got what Nini got, and then, you know, Nini got what Noelle got, I would have been like, damn, why is my favorite of the bunch not getting that treatment? So an overall good character, a good addition to your no affiliation Guild Quest team. Would have liked if she offered a bit more than just that, especially once more for a Burn the Witch character. So in the comments below, let me know what you'd like to think about Noelle, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care and peace.